friends, welcome to another First Chapter Friday. I'm Miss Sarah. So today we're going to read the beginning of Remember My Story, and this is by Claire Sarnowski with Sarah Durand. So this is kind of a memoir for Claire. It's nonfiction. It's about 14-year-old Claire who befriends this 92-year-old Holocaust survivor, Alter Wiener. She's an activist, and she decides that she read his story, and it's obviously so tragic that she thinks that all the public schools in Oregon should study the Holocaust. So she fights for the cause and tries to make that possible. So I'm going to read the beginning, the prologue of exactly what the story is about. When you're 14 years old, the one place you don't expect to be on a random weekday is standing in front of your state capitol building with a 92-year-old Holocaust survivor you met 4 years earlier. But on a sunny September morning in 2018, that's exactly where I found myself. I wasn't on a field trip at a model Congress conference or waiting to snap a selfie on a family vacation. I was missing school to testify in front of a committee of Oregon state senators, and I was so excited I thought my heart might burst out of my chest. The man I was with was named Alter Wiener. I met him when I was 9 years old and attended a presentation he gave. Alter was a slender, white-haired Polish immigrant who had experienced more tragedy and loss than I could comprehend. Yet he was filled with so much joy and optimism that it was contagious, and, lucky for me, he had become my best friend. It was a pretty unlikely friendship for a girl who had just started high school, but it worked, and Alter's influence had changed the course of my life. Like so many of us born in the shadows of 9/11, I couldn't log on to the internet without sensing that my life was somehow connected to others across the world. But social media is not the real world, right? Instead of using those online connections to enact change, it felt like everyone in my community looked inward, toward our own needs. At school, we studied hard so we could get into good colleges, rushed to make it to dance or soccer practice on time, and texted our friends long after we should have turned the lights out. In the summer, we splashed in the lake and slept late, and nobody really worried about the war our country had been fighting since before we were born. If we did, it was something happening far, far away. With Alter, it was different. War had destroyed his childhood, and by teaching me about it, he had taken me out of my comfort zone and made my life fuller. Though, knowing him, I had become a catalyst for change, like he was. Instead of obsessing over Instagram, my grades, or Harry's style, okay, maybe I'm lying about being over Harry, more on that later. Now I spend most of my time furthering Alter's mission, raising awareness about the Holocaust. Alter wasn't getting any younger, and he was tired. Over the course of nearly 20 years, he'd spoken to almost 1,000 community and school groups about the Holocaust and how remembering it could help prevent intolerance and violence. His words had made a lasting impact on so many people, young and old, but he was worried that when he was gone, Holocaust education would die as well. I assured him not if I had anything to do with it. Alter's message felt especially urgent in 2018 when our country was so culturally and politically divided. Worse than these divisions, though, was the all-out hate. In fact, there had recently been a few hate crimes in my hometown, Lake Oswego, Oregon. I thought that if more people knew Alter's story and understood the history of the Holocaust and other genocides, then maybe these acts of hostility would stop. Maybe, just maybe, tolerance would finally overtake violence. Alter and I had spent months building a case to make Holocaust education mandatory in Oregon's public school curriculum. I'd researched other states' laws and curricula extensively, and I had gotten out of bed at 6 a.m., even on the weekends, to email parents, teachers, and community members about our efforts. Alter and I had written and called hundreds of his contacts, asking them for their stories and photos so we could add them to our presentations. We'd spent hours drumming up support for our cause and trying to get people to attend this meeting. If we could convince the Oregon State Senate Education Committee how urgent it was for students to learn about the Holocaust, then these 7 senators would go to the full legislature and press to pass a bill. With every bone in my body, I knew what was at stake. This bill was everything. But what if no one else cared? I took a deep breath, looked toward Alter in his wheelchair, and began to help him up the ramp that led to the Oregon State Capitol Rotunda. Together, we've made it this far. Together, we are going to change history. That's the end of the prologue. If you'd like to hear more of Claire's journey, of how she is trying to make Oregon have Holocaust studies in all their public schools, please give us a call and we can put it on hold for you, or come to the children's department and you can check it out. It also lists Alter Wiener's book that Claire had read that made her interested in the entire process. So if you'd like to hear more about that, just give us a call. Bye, friends.